Hey y'all, today we are building holders for convention badges and lanyards. This is an adaptation of one of the builds I've already done for holding trading cards. My wife saw this and wanted something to put on the wall for her collection of all the conventions we've been to. To build this, we're building two different pieces. We first have to do the inside frame that the actual badge sits in, and then we build the outer frame that you see here that wraps the front and the sides of this piece. There is also a third piece of plexiglass in the middle that just free floats within there. So to start building the inner frame, that is just a piece of 1/2-inch plywood that is cut down to size, and then a border is put around it with 1/8-inch balsa wood. I've tried making that thinner strips myself. Too dangerous really to do on the table saw. It's very cheap and easily available at many different hobby stores. And you're really building this to the size of the cards that you want. The size of these badges change from time to time, so I picked one size that would fit all of them. To make this actual frame, it starts by cutting out the stock. What I used to do is take some inch-by-inch stock and then carve out a chunk out of it to make a two-sided frame. So this time I took some cherry boards that are a little over 3/4 of an inch and cut them down into 1/4-inch strips, and then I actually glued that corner together. This took a long time. I didn't have enough clamps to do it in even a couple nights. It took me about a week of doing it. And then you just sand it off into a corner. You can get a good 90-degree corner on the outside by using a bench sander or something like that. And then to actually make the frame itself, I built a little jig to cut 45-degree corners, picture frame corners. And using a little masking tape and a stop, I was able to measure out, in general, the side length and the top and bottom length of pieces. And then you're essentially cutting them to fit. Each specific outer frame is fit to a specific inner frame. And so you cut the 4 pieces, the 2 tops, the 2 sides. You kind of set those together, because at this point, that is now one project. And I started over 22 of these. I ended up with 20 finished ones after a couple mistakes and expecting that. But once you get the pieces built, before you assemble it, we have to add a hole in whatever the bottom one's going to be. That will be how this attaches here in a minute. Now, to actually glue up this outer frame, you've got to first tape up the insider piece, all the corners of it. Because what we're going to do is we're going to use the tape trick where we're going to lay down all these pieces and then wrap them up to create our box. But we're going to actually do it around the middle piece. Again, custom fit to it. What this does is it guarantees the right shape. It guarantees you're going to get a square shape that fits around that square piece in the middle that hopefully is square if you cut it correct. But then if you tape those corners, it means any glue excess that comes out of this glue up doesn't glue it to the middle piece. And so pop that middle piece out after it's dried. That's when you then go through and can paint that black. You're really only worried about painting the corners of it because, again, the sides and the front are going to be covered for the most part. You only see the areas around the badge. So we're not worried about great coverage. We just want those sides covered, painting it black. Now to build this bottom hanger, I just took a piece of the cherry and I actually cut it even thinner. So this is a 1/2-inch piece. The reason for that is on the back, I don't want it flush against the wall once it's installed because I want to be able to get badges or the lanyards on and off of it when it's already on the wall. The front is then inset a little bit too to add a little dimension to it. So it's not just a flat piece sitting there, and puts a nice kind of shadow line on it. This then gets a hole in the top, and then a dowel, very small dowel, goes through and is gluing these 2 pieces together. It is strong enough with the wood glue in there. This is not coming off. Even if someone yanks on the lanyard, this isn't going to pop off. And if it does, it's easily repairable. Once you have it all put together, then it's time to finish this. I'm again making this out of cherry. I put just a very light dark stain on it to give it a little bit more depth and darkness to match the rest of the furniture in our room. And then 2 coats of a water-based poly, then a light sanding, then 2 more coats of a water-based poly. Only doing that on the outside areas. You do not do it on the inside because, again, this friction fit, this tight fit that is in here, if you add poly to it, sometimes that'll make it too tight and then your inside piece won't fit. To mount it on the wall, there's just one screw going through it into the wall. I measured out all the different options on where to do it. We're doing this little zigzag pattern with them. But then it's a wall anchor into the drywall and then this one screw through it. And again, that screw will be hidden once we actually put the badge on it. So then the plexiglass goes on, the outside holder goes on, and then I did pre-drill all of them in the top with a place for a screw that's countersunk in. That's important to keep it attached. On my trading card holders, I actually put one screw on each side to help just kind of hold it in place. I was worried doing just one on the top may cause the bottom to push out or not sit flat, but it actually didn't cause a problem at all. They all sit very flush against the wall, and it worked great just having the one that I then screwed in from the top. And then once you add the lanyards to it, it makes for a really nice display of these different kind of collector pieces of all the nostalgia of the conventions we've gone to. So with that, that wraps up this build. Again, you can adapt this to work for something like badges or trading cards or many other things with this kind of structure. I feel like it makes a really nice sit on your desk or sit on a wall. Really nice way to display these pieces. That's going to wrap up this one for us. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll be back with more projects later. Thanks.